تحياتنا لكم متابعينا. نعتذر عن انقطاع البث قبل شوي مع الدكتور جلين ماليكو. نحن موجودين مثل ما ذكرنا لكم بمدارس ديربورن العامة خارج مبنى الإدارة لمدارس ديربورن العامة للحديث خاص لنا لقناة شو الأخبار مع المشرف العام لمدارس ديربورن عن العودة إلى المدارس، وخاصة بعد ما أعلنت مدارس ديربورن على أنه هن اخدين بريك هلأ حاليا هذا الأسبوع نظرا لأنه العالم طلعوا على السبرينج بريك وهيك، فلحتى يتأكدوا أنه كل العالم يعملوا الفحوصات اللازمة قبل ما الأولاد يرجعوا على المدارس لحتى ما يصير في أي مشاكل. فأنا ما راح أخذ وقت، راح نعطي الكاميرا للدكتور ماليكو. أكيد hi everyone. This interview will be in both English and Arabic. You know, I'm gonna be translating every time we ask Dr. Glenn Maleyko. So both everyone that's listening and everyone that's tuning in can basically أكيد to benefit from those information. So المقابلة رح تكون بالعربي وبالإنجليزي، رح ترجم أنا بالعربي، حيلا شيء عم ينحكى بالإنجليزي. فيكم تسألوا سؤالاتكم في مربع التعليقات قد ما فينا، رح نحاول ناخذ أسئلة منكم. كتبوهم بمربع التعليقات. شفت كان في أسئلة مكتوبة منكم بالكومنتس لما طلعنا قبل شوي، نعتذر منكم شوي انقطع البث. رح نعطي الكاميرا هلا لدكتور جلين ماليكو. دكتور جلين ماليكو, thank you for this exclusive interview for WhatsApp Media Network to talk about the return to school. We have a 6 feet distance, so that's why you're taking
my
your
mask and we're outside, so we got double safety.
Double safety. So people were a bit surprised when you guys announced that you're going to be virtual for this week from 6 to 10, and some people start speculating that the schools are not gonna return to in-person learning. Can we put this to rest? This is a break. Why this break was done 6 to 10?
Yeah, this was done primarily and solely because of spring break. We were looking at the situation and we were hearing the number of individuals that may be traveling. We know that our spring break is a heavily traveled time of year. It also is tied to the Easter holiday for some that celebrate Easter, and so we knew that individuals would possibly be getting together. And that's why I think with the vaccines it's so important. But it's just a 1 week pause, and in fact it's only 3 days, to be honest, that we changed. Because the 5th was the day off anyway, which was part of spring break. The 6th today was the day that would have been in person. The 7th was a normal virtual learning day within our schedule for everyone. And so it's the 8th and 9th. So students actually missed out on 1 in-person day or 2, depending if they were in group A or B. The other thing that we did, because we knew and we promoted this, was the testing that we did at Etzel Ford yesterday. We had 266 individuals, and we're looking to bring, this was a cooperation with the state of Michigan, the health department, and you know, they worked with us. We did it at Etzel because it's a good place to do it, and so we're happy with the number that came. We're going to look at other antigen testing locations in the future as well through the state. So this was just a 1 week, and it was purely because of the spring break.
So now, if I want to ask you, are we going back to normal schedule next week?
We are, yes. We're scheduled to be back. Now everything is always in a pandemic subject to change. And so we're scheduled to be back. I've asked the health department, because people ask, okay, positivity rates and other things are going up.
This is, if you don't mind me, I mean, people are asking which factor are you guys using to decide whether to go back to school or not?
So this is where it gets, I think, maybe confusing for individuals, is because for so long we were looking at positivity and then there was a matrix from the state. Well, remember this pandemic, all the science keeps changing, okay? And so in the fall, that's what we were using because that's what was given. Now we're still monitoring that, and we're not saying we're not monitoring that, but the reality is the CDC came up with different guidelines and they did studies to show that it's safe in schools. And the reason it's safe, and Mr. Hachem, I've been, since we reopened in March, I've literally been to every one of our schools to see the safety protocols in place. One of the reasons is but you have to do the mitigation. So I'm going to tell you, wearing the masks, social distancing, sanitizing. The reason it's safe in schools is because you are required to do so. I've seen students, whether they be at the high school to the elementary, they're all following the rules. The other thing is because of our hybrid model, we do not have full capacity. We have students in the virtual program, so that's allowed it to be safer. So what we're doing now, here's what we're doing, is I'm monitoring the data, but the matrix that came from the Wayne County, we're really looking at individual situations of spread. Right now, we have not had any spread within the school other than some of the extracurricular programs.
Okay, that's the point I want you to explain to people, because some people were saying there were an outbreak in Etzel Ford. if we can explain that part.
Yeah. So this is confusing, and I keep bringing it up with the state. In fact, we have a meeting today at 4:30. Every second Tuesday now, we're on a meeting through the governor's office. It's all local leaders in Dearborn, and I've asked them to change that definition because the definition of an outbreak is 2 cases.
Oh.
That's what the state definition of an outbreak is.
So
you get on the
2
list.
Cases, it's an outbreak.
If it's 2 cases and they were transmitted,
wow.
that's all it takes. So what I've asked them to do, and all the superintendents have said, is that gives, see, when I think of outbreak, I think of, you've got maybe tens to 50 to hundreds of people.
100%.
Well, so they really do need to change that, and we've had our lobbyists trying to ask them because it gives a false impression.
Yeah.
You know, there are some schools in the state though that have had true outbreaks where there were 200 students in quarantine. Dearborn has not. So what we're talking about is a few on the hockey team, the wrestling, and the basketball. They're close contact sports, and those seasons are done right now anyway. So those are the sports where we've had some, but again, no one's done anything wrong. They're following the rules, but they're close contact sports.
Yeah.
So the outbreak was because of a few individuals on the hockey team or on the basketball team or on the wrestling. So that's where I wish they would change it, and I have tried to talk to the press about that. But you see the headline; it says outbreak. Well,
outbreak, yeah, exactly.
I mean, don't you think an outbreak? You think
get
it's
scared.
like,
I mean,
but it's not.
Think it's like 100, 200 cases.
And that's where I asked them too. They're, like I said, now the state and the health department and the governor are promoting being in school.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is, okay, CDC says it's safe, so let's kind of change that terminology so parents don't get scared. Because I did have a lot of parents email me, and I responded and I explained this is really the case, and it goes on this list that they're required by the legislation they passed in August. So it's kind of not really an accurate reflection. Now it is true though that some schools in the state have had true outbreaks.
Yeah.
Dearborn Public Schools is not.
So basically, we're continuing with sports schedule as normal as scheduled.
So with the sports, this is what happened. I did a 1-week pause for the middle school because the middle school is just our own middle school, students competing against each other. We are in the KLA and the Downriver League for the high school. The difference now, and the reason we feel more comfortable with allowing the sports to continue, and it is true that the health department from the state and the county has been telling us that the athletics have. And again, no one's doing anything wrong. It's just the nature of the sport.
Just the nature of the sport.
It is.
Exactly.
But now it's required testing. We were actually looking at testing even prior to the governor requiring it in the health department.
For the athletic part?
For athletics, yes. And we can require it for athletics, and now it's mandated, you must.
Okay.
So anyone that's 13 to 19, there must be weekly tests.
So anyone that's in sports, that's 13 to 19, they're playing sports in Dearborn Public School, they must take a PCR test or antigen test?
The antigen test. But if the antigen test comes back as positive or inconclusive, then they have to get the PCR, which is what we were doing yesterday at Etzel during the clinic. And therefore, we would take that, see what that'll do. Here's the reason why it's successful. If you look at the pros or the college ranks, what have they been able to do?
Yeah.
With the testing now is going to help because if we had the hockey team, maybe we were able to determine that prior, we could isolate that individual 100%. And then maybe the team still participates because the rest are fine.
Yeah. So let's say, somebody did and this is only for athletic people who are part of the athletic program, not all the students in Dearborn Public Schools. Let's say someone did the antigen is positive, and then they did the PCR also is positive. What do they do? Do they isolate for how long? What happens to the teammates?
So if they were a close contact with the team, so it'll depend the last time, then they would be in quarantine.
Okay.
And so if they were a close, so what happens? We have nurses, and they do contact tracing. They talk to the Wayne County Health Department, and the Wayne County Health Department will guide us. But our nurses are awesome, honestly. So what they do, and I get the reports.
Nice.
The board sees it. It's all very transparent to us to what we do. Now, obviously, we can't mention any individual names publicly or anything because of FERPA rights 100%. And health rights. But basically, we're on it right away. And the truth is we've had to quarantine teams because of that. But again, it's to keep people safe. Now, the one thing, we now have 2,200 of our staff members vaccinated, approximately.
Nice.
Which is,
I think,
a
huge percentage.
Yes.
I mean, how many staff members you have?
We have about 2,700. That includes full and part-time staff.
That's great, to be honest with you. I mean, that's a great percentage. I mean, you got to give props to the district for that quick effort that you guys did for the vaccination. So now you have about 2,200 staff members. Some, since you brought up that topic, some colleges, I mean, Oakland University, they announced yesterday that any student that want to come on campus, they have to be vaccinated. You guys are not looking for that kind of stuff here in Dearborn Public Schools.
I don't know that right now. It's unless the state does something, we're not doing anything to require anything.
Okay.
Because we're a public school district. However, we are promoting it.
We'll promote
So
it.
I have my vaccines. I've had both doses, and I took it in my proper turn when I was as an educator.
Yes.
When the teachers were getting it, I got the same time. And so what I'm saying is, I want to get it for myself, for my staff, and the students. And the reason is because we want the kids in school.
100%.
I'm going to tell everyone, get the vaccine if you can. Right now, we are working on, and I know we talked about this before, but we're going to be busing students out to the DMC Center this Thursday and Friday to get the vaccine, or their parents can drive them. And we have more. It has to be Pfizer, because 16 and 17-year-olds.
True.
It's only approved Pfizer. Moderna is only approved for 18 and above, and same
This
with
is the
Johnson
effort
&
between the district and DMC.
DMC.
It's a free vaccine.
Correct.
How can students sign up to it? They have to be Dearborn Public Schools students. How do they sign up to take the vaccine?
So we sent out emails to all the parents through the high school system. And if for some reason they didn't get it and they want it and they have a 16, 17, or 18-year-old, they can contact the school and we'll sign them up. We have the link. We didn't put the link up. We're looking at the possibility of maybe putting out some public on that, but we have other opportunities that we're actually working with both Chief Haddad and Chief Murray and possibly Henry Ford that may come out later on to our high school. But
That's
the issue,
even better,
it is. But the reason we took DMC now, obviously, and they've been a great partner of ours, they did 1,000 of our staff, is because if we can get it now, I'm going to take whatever Pfizer doses, because it has to be Pfizer from DMC, and they right away they committed 1,200 doses for our students.
That's awesome.
And they said, if the parent wants to, we will let the parent get in at the same time. So now we're being careful. We're giving priority to the students, because obviously the Pfizer is the only one for students.
How many ones signed up so far? Do you have numbers?
Right now, I think we're around 300, but we just started putting it out.
That's great, to be honest with you. I mean, you guys put out the message, I think, 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was just recent. We did the survey because we didn't know, so it's a tight time frame. So we have the 8th, the 9th, and the 16th. So we hope we'll get more, and we know we're going to get more when they come to the school.
So Friday is when you guys are taking down?
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday. And basically, they come to the school and they go from the school, or how is it gonna happen?
So they have two options. If they choose, if they have their own transportation, they can go down with their parents.
Okay.
And what's going to happen is DMC is a very well-run organization with this, because we went through it with the staff.
Exactly.
DMC will call them and they'll schedule a time for them, and the parents can take them. If they can't, we're going to have buses available at the high school starting in the morning to shuttle them down to DMC.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What would you like to tell parents, who are watching you right now?
Well, as far as the vaccines go,
as far as the vaccines, as far as the fight against COVID, anything that you guys, any announcement from the district you guys would like to benefit from this live stream?
So I would encourage parents, when you can get the vaccine dose for yourself, for your family, for your child, when it's available, I encourage you to do that, because that's only going to help us in the schools to get more students back in person. We continue to offer the virtual learning program, and we're going to do that again next year for those parents that they know they want their child online.
Also, you're offering that next year too?
We will. We haven't started enrollment yet, but we're working on plans for it, because we know that some parents will want it.
Do you anticipate that next year, and sorry for cutting you off, do you anticipate that next year, when we go back to school in late August, we're going to be 100% in person?
So right now the law is you have to be, but that could change.
So the way how it looks like now, it looks like you guys are going to be 100% in person with an option to a virtual next year.
With the virtual, that's how we can legally do it according to state law. Now the state can change it if the pandemic changes or the health department comes in and says no. I mean, the health department can give an order and say you need to limit. So that everything's on the table. But that's why the vaccines are so important. Because if we can get everyone vaccinated before the fall, maybe we can be more. Because we know our staff don't have to quarantine if they're a close contact if they're fully vaccinated. And so as long as they don't have symptoms, then they don't have to quarantine, which is a huge, plus with the vaccine. So that's why I would say that. The other thing I want to tell parents is I can't guarantee that we won't have any COVID spread. I mean, no one can guarantee that. However, what I can tell you is that in the schools, if you were to see the way we have the line set up, the social distancing, wearing the masks you saw that I wear it all the time. I had it on even though I was outside, and I only took it off because we're doing the interview outside. Those are all things that are required, and the students have done a great job. I was in front of one of the high schools during dismissal, Dearborn High, and even out front, technically they don't have to wear it when they're outside and they're social distance. They all had them on, all the students.
That's awesome.
You know, and so everyone is really following the rules because they want to be back in person. Now, I know that some parents still want to do virtual, that's fine, but we also want to encourage in person if you feel safe, because we know there's an added benefit to that. Our staff, I'll also say, are stepping up. They have families too, right, that they're worried about. So that's why getting the vaccines was so important. And the last thing I just say, we need the community to step up too, because like I said, the health department is telling us we're not having spreads in the school, it's the community spread. And so we need the community together, and that's why as Dearborn Schools, we want to work with everyone. Getting the students vaccinated is going to help, because that's going to help prevent the spread within the community and within the school. But the more people that wear the masks, you know, avoid the big gatherings. We all miss getting together.
Yeah.
You and I have been, we're in a normal, we're usually at these events all the time in Dearborn, and we can't do it. But we're sacrificing right now because there's a greater, there's greater work and process. And if we all want, you know, to protect the community, the health and safety first and foremost, and then balance it with the need for in-person instruction, which we know we need. So.
That's awesome. Just as a quick note, can you walk us through, like, you know, when students are going to those in-person learning, what's the protocol before they go into the building?
Well, first of all, they have to take the screener by law.
Okay.
So I have to take the screener. Every day I come into this building.
Okay.
So there was a couple of days where I went into like 6 schools to visit. I had to do the screener in every building. I have to go online. Now the students have to verify, the parents have to verify that they're doing the self-check at home.
Okay.
So when they come in, they will be, and I've seen it as they enter, depending on if they're elementary or high school, that we have different entry ports because every school is a little different. So what we've done is we're using them to keep social distance. So you could go to one of the elementaries, for example, and they're using all entrances as the staff come out to escort them in.
So they're not using only one entrance like before, they're using all of the entrances available at the school.
Yeah, they're using as many as possible to keep the social distance when they enter. We do have some of the high schools with a large number in the VL virtual program, so we really do not, I mean, you have some classes right now in person that have 3-4 students.
Yeah.
But it's a great opportunity for those students to get a little bit of extra support and help. So.
How many students are in class? I know it's different between elementary, middle, and high school.
Okay. Well, we have 20,600 students approximately, and we have about 6,000 in the full virtual.
6,000 in the full
virtual. So that gives you about 4.
So inside every classrooms, you know, are we keeping that distance?
Yes.
I know the CDC said first 6 feet, and then they said 3 feet is only if it's fine. You know, which one are you guys doing?
Right now we are able to social distance. Especially, I don't have any issues of a large number. We're generally within the 6 feet. You know, even when I see the students moving in the hallways, they're practicing because the principals have the lines marked off. So the kids are actually practicing in the cafeteria. So the elementary go in there and they're amazing. It's social distance, it's so calm. Some of the students, they put their mask on, they take a bite and they put it back on. they just want to follow the rules. It's like great to see the students doing that. So yeah, no, it's very safe. Again, we can't guarantee, but what we can say, and that's what CDC said, is because we control the factors within the schools, because you must do the things, you know, that's why it's safe for our students and our staff in schools. But it's not 100%. And that's where, again, the community comes in. You know, we want to follow the rules when we're out in the community as well.
Awesome. Any final words?
Just, you know, it's been a tough year for everyone. Can you believe it? We're now a year into the pandemic, and we just got to stick together and help each other. And there's a lot of differing viewpoints. I can tell you, Dearborn Public Schools, we want to accommodate all of our parents for the sake of our students and the community. So health and safety, number one, for our Board of Education. They've done an awesome job. We have a great teaching staff, you know, we're giving out over 100,000 meals a week.
Wow.
The most, I think, of any school district in the state.
You guys are approved for pandemic EBT too. The pandemic EBT, the food
yeah, now we don't have any involvement direct.
I know, but you guys are, the whole district.
We promoted it,
the whole district, because it's a free or reduced 100%, so all of the parents, they get it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Maleyko.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
I'm going to translate in Arabic some of the words you said, so we can make sure. Yeah, you don't have to hold the mic. You can drink your drink anyway. اكيد متابعينا كنا نحن موجودين. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. كنا موجودين بالمبنى العام لمدارس ديربون، مبنى الإدارة. كان معنا المشرف العام لمدارس ديربون الدكتور جلين ماليكو. عم نتحدث عن المدارس. كان في أسئلة كتير من العالم عم تجي، هل يا ترى المدارس رح ترجع للان بيرسون ليرنينج، لانه كان في اعلان من المدارس انه راح يسكروا، راح يكونوا فيرتشوال من 6 ل 10 نيسان. ذكر المشرف العام انه المدارس سوف تعود للنظام كما كان عليه من قبل، يعني ابتداء من نهار الاثنين. يعني كيف كنتوا انتم السكجول تبع اولادكم كيف كان؟ ما بعرف، يومين بالمدرسه يومين بالبيت، نفس السكجول اللي كانوا عليه اولادكم قبل ما يروحوا على السبرينج بريك، بدك ترجعوا على نفس السكجول. ما في يعني ما رح تضلوا فيرتشوال. هيدا بس كان اجراء احترازي احتياطي بس لمده 3 ايام، ويعود الى طبيعته نهار الاثنين. كل شيء بيعود لطبيعته بمدارس ديربون. سالناه نحن عن السبورتس، عن الرياضه، هل يا ترى رح يوقفوها؟ لانه عم بينحكى كان في انه شويه انتشار للفيروس هونيك. عم بيقول الرياضه بطبيعتها هي بيكون فيها كلوز كونتاكت، بيكون فيها اللاعبين قريبين لبعض، بس بشكل عام ما في هيدا الاوت بريك بمدارس ديربون. هلا الانتشار للفيروس يعني كان في بأسلفورد حالتين اصيبوا وتم حصرهم. وعم بيقول بالنسبه للاشخاص الطلاب من 13 و 19 سنه اللي بيلعبوا سبورتس، هودي مفروض عليهم افري ويك كل جمعه يعملوا تيست، الانتيجين تيست اللي هو بالدم. اذا بيطلع معهم الانتيجين تيست ايجابي بيروحوا بيعملوا البي سي ار، واذا البي سي ار ايجابي بدهم يعملوا حظر صحي لمده 10 ايام على الاقل. اكيد كمان ذكر انه العاملين في مدارس ديربون في عندهم تقريبا 2700 عامل، من هودي ال 2700 عامل لحد هلا في 2200 عامل اخذوا لقاح فيروس كورونا، وهذا امر جيد جدا. وكمان ذكر انه نهار الخميس والجمعه هيدا الاسبوع الطلاب بجهد مشترك ما بين مدارس ديربون وما بين الدي ام سي، الطلاب اللي هن حابين ياخذوا لقاح فيروس كورونا اللي هو متوفر لقاح فايزر لل 16 وما فوق، 16 17 18 فيهم يتواصلوا مع مدارس ديربون. لحد هلا في 300 طالب سجلوا اسمهم لحتى ياخذوا هيدا اللقاح. نهار الخميس والجمعه اللي هي المدرسه رح ياخذوا السكول باص، الباص تبع المدرسه، وبينزلوهم على ديترويت ميديكال سنتر وبيرجعوهم لهون للطلاب. والطلاب اللي بيحبوا ينزلوا مع اهلهم يوصلوهم كمان فينا نعملوا نفس الشيء. فاكيد حيلا طالب بيحب ياخذ هيدا اللقاح عمره ما بين ال 16 و 18 سنه كمان في يتواصل مع مدارس ديربون وياخذوا لهيدا اللقاح. وذكر انه الاجراءات اللي عم ياخذوها بالمدرسه من انه كل يوم الطلاب بدهم يعملوا مثل سكرينينج في 7 سؤالات بدهم يجاوبوا عليها، وبياخذوا لهم حرارتهم قبل ما يفوتوا على المدرسه، وعم يستعملوا المداخل تبع المدرسه تقريبا كلها لحتى يوزعوا الطلاب ما يفوتوا من مدخل واحد. هيدي كانت المعلومات اليوم مع الدكتور جلين ماليكو. بنتمنى انه تكونوا استفدتوا من هيدي المعلومات. حبينا نعطيكم اخر المستجدات فيما يتعلق بمدارس ديربون العامه، وشكرا لكم على متابعتكم وعلى حسن المشاهده. نلقاكم بعد قليل، رح يكون في عنا ان شاء الله تقريبا بعتقد على الساعه 7 اذا ماني غلطان حلقه جديده من برنامج شو في ما في. ومن خلال الحلقه اليوم رح نسحب اسم الرابح لليوم، فما تنسوا تعملوا تاج ل3 اشخاص، تكتبوا اسم الولايه اللي انتم موجودين فيها وتعملوا شير للفيديو. الى اللقاء.